Mm. On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight. Thorough Black Talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From Brother Tad to Sister K, warriors got things to say. Sister Marcia brings the heat, Brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Thursday nights, the world will see Black Power Media on the screen. Facebook, YouTube, all aligned, breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Ancestral line.
Staying strong on the bridge tonight. We got dreams and we got fight. Voices loud in the city's light. Change is coming into sight. History told by scars and pain, echoes deep in every name. Legal truths we must reclaim, through the storm and through the rain. Thorough Black Talk Worldview, with Brother Tad, Sister K, Sister Marcia, Brother Blacksmith. Cut the check or no vote, yeah. Justice calls from open skies. Tears that fall, ain't no disguise. Marching forward, no surprise. Strength in hearts you can't downsize. Every voice a sweet refrain. In this fight we share the strain. Through the joy and through the pain, bound together like a chain. Thorough Black Talk Worldview, with Brother Tad, Sister K, Sister Marcia, Brother Blacksmith. Cut the check or no vote, yeah.
Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your brother Tad, Sister K Fighter, Brother Blacksmith, and Sister Marcia will be joining us shortly. I hope you all have had a great week thus far. A lot of things have happened in the news. Diddy and Cassie, Donald Trump in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Israel says that it wants to wean itself off of the dependency of the United States of America. A lot has happened. But we're going to get into it. You know, last time we were here, we started to talk about, Africa's role in the slave trade, the transatlantic and the trans-Saharan slave trades. And so, we try to give you the best information that we possibly can. And in doing that, sometimes we have to reach out to some of our allies, right? Because it gets a little busy over here. So, each one teach one. That's how we reach them. You understand? So we're going to get into that as well. Also, this week is the NBA playoffs. New York, let's get it. But while everybody was watching the game of basketball, a basketball game was played in the courts. So we're going to touch on some of that as well. But let's see if the team is ready. Brother Tad, you ready? Brother Black, you ready? I see Sister Marcia getting the kinks worked out. Welcome to the stage, our brother from another mother, the OG Wisdom Podcast founder. Here we go, Brother Tad. What's happening?
Hey, peace, family. Peace, peace, peace. Can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear, my brother. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I was having a little technical difficulty before we got on, but we back at it like crack addicts. Oh, man, I miss you so much, Sister K.
Yes, brother, because a lot has been happening. The shenanigans is amped up. And, but sometimes life be lifing and we got to make moves. And unfortunately, we couldn't be here last week. But we are back in effect, Brother Tad. And I know you got a lot to say. I'm going to tell y'all right now.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all have to watch the playbacks. Even if you watch it live, watch the playbacks because Tad be having me on the floor. Him and Marcia be having me dying. You hear me? You gotta watch the playbacks. Trust me on that. But they real with it. They real with it. Let's get our brother Anunnaki up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Welcome to BX to the big
Peace, 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 peace. Glad to be back.
Anunnaki, what's happening?
Chilling. I see you, Tad. There you go. You know my greeting. You know I need that in my life. Just like when Sister Marcia come on, she better say blacktastic. Otherwise, I'm telling her about it. Yeah, peace, Sister Keisha. How you? You on mute?
I'm muted, sis.
I'm laying. I'm
All right, y'all looking good. Let's proceed with the show. Let's get it on.
Yes. And shout out to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, let me get some shout outs real quick. Sister Donna, Brother Kerwin, Alabama, what's good, family? How are you? Our brother, the legend himself, Magnetic Peace Tyson, on the check-in. What's happening, North Kakalaki? I see
Peace,
it.
Brother Peace. And I owe Brother Peace a phone call, too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was kind of jammed up. But, I love kicking it with my brother.
Oh, yeah. It's so much happening. I also got a chance to speak to the History Hitman this week.
Shout out to
him. Yes. And the VK William Mackey History Club had Trust Graham in there last night. It was fire.
I was going to say, sis, we got to get Trust up here one day. We have to. We have to get Big Brother Trust up in here. Shout out to our brother Trust Graham and the BK William Mackey Study Group. The
history and legacy of Malcolm X. He did a phenomenal job. So shout out to him and the BK William Mackey History Club. Right. And also he mentioned something, Brother Tad, that, we often say here on this platform, there is truth that'll make you feel good. And there is objective truth. And so while we deal with these diaspora beefs, if you will, we're going to have to deal with some objective truths.
Yeah.
And, even Amos Wilson said we have to be weary of feel-good history all the time because it will get you tripped up. And I always tell you guys, study history backward, because it will lead you to a greater understanding. I'm telling you, try it one day. Try one day to read a book backward. And I'm serious. And as you read it backward, you will already conclude where the beginning is happening. So it's a very interesting technique that I learned from the attorney at World Automatics. And it also helps you to see things in a legal realm, if you will, no matter what it is that you're reading. Could be a love novel or whatever. But it will always put you in a legal realm because, like any crime scene investigator, And that's what you read. You read to investigate, right? You want to learn new things. You want to find out things. So it's an investigation. So everything that I do, everything that I read, everything that I research, I don't care if it's a pamphlet about cartoons. I look at it and study it as if it was a crime scene. And as I look, Brother Tad, with the reparations movement and the FBA movement, this is a crime scene. It's a crime scene. And so, like any other investigator, I went to school to study police science. So, like any other investigator, it's important that you secure the crime scene, that you begin to figure out who the key players are so that you can wean out all of the nonsense that will distract you from closing the case, right? So it doesn't become a cold case, if you will. And so everything that you do, family, please try that approach and make sure that you put history in your purview, right? History should be the blueprint for everything that you do. Everything that you do. And, it will make things a lot clearer for you. You'd be surprised. But let's get to it, Brother Rich. Nice. How you doing, family? What's good? Sister Farnessa. She be starting trouble too over there on TikTok. She be on TikTok start trouble, y'all. I'm telling you right now. She said, "What up, Brother Tad? Sister Almanette too, the Midwest crew. What's happening? Yes, indeed. Anunnaki is here. He here. Sister Aruba 927 Doggy Diamond TV viewers in the building. What's good? OG Hot, what's happening? Yes. Magnetic Peace says, true indeed. Movies do that by showing the end result and then going back in time, for example, 2 weeks earlier. That's right. See, we learn from the same master teacher. Me and Magnetic Peace Tyson, we learn from the same master teacher. Speaking of movies, did y'all get the chance to see Sinners? Did you get a chance to see Sinners, Brother Tad?
I peeped it.
Brother Anunnaki, did you get a chance to see Sinners?
I had meant to go see it over the weekend, but it didn't happen. I'm probably gonna try this weekend, and I've been hearing nothing but good things though.
It's a lot of symbolism in that movie. Shout out to Sister Marcia and Sister Tiff from SWAP, Sister Brooke. We all went to the movies together to check it out. And I think it was Sister Marcia's second time seeing it. And I know Tiffany, it was her third time seeing it. And me and Brooke, it was our first go round at it. But know this, that if you don't know your history, if you don't know your foundation, you will miss so much in this film. Let me get my Sister Marcia up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Sister Marcia, what's happening?
Wing Gal.
Happy Blacktastic Thursday, everyone. Hope everyone is fine and beautiful. It is a great day to be great. Hope everyone is well. And I'm freezing a little bit, but we'll get it together.
Sister Marcia. Now, we're going to start off with Sinners because we've seen it. Brother Black hasn't yet, but he's a predictor, so he can rock with us. He can rock with us. I want to know from the outset, what was your take overall of the film before we even get into some of the scenes that were played out there?
I think it was, I'm buffering. I think it was beautiful. The artistry, the scenes, people with that level of talent to create these scenes and make you feel like you're right there. Beautiful. There's not one scene that I can say needed a little bit more artistry. So for the artistry, it was very impactful. For the interracial history, I think it was really impactful too, because so many of the other folks was like, yeah, I don't know nothing about my history. I don't know, I don't know this and I don't know that. And so it's really interesting to see as they are so-called the premier group of people that they don't even know anything about their existence. So it was really good. He just put so many levels of different cultural representation that really makes you go deeper into your understanding of what America means, right? And I think that's what trips up most people, is that we don't know what America means or looks like. You're muted.
There you go. I'm sorry. I had to adjust my camera too. It's crazy over here. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, that looks a little bit better. But anyway, yes. So a lot of symbolism in the film. Let me get Brother Tad's take on the film Sinners and what he thought of it overall.
First of all, let me say shout out to the FBAs. Who's pretty much baked up in that. Oh, what that say? Foundational Black American on code. That's a fact. I like that. I like that, sis. Yeah. It was a beautiful musical. I took it as a musical. And I'm not beefing about it. Very symbolic. If you know your history. I had got off camera because I went to my bookshelf to see if I could find the book Culture Bandits, because of course Del Jones in his prolific work Culture Bandits talk about some of the things we saw, because the protagonists in the movie were vampires, also known as bloodsuckers, also known as leeches, also known as who we know our ops to be to our community. And in this movie, those people were trying to suck the life force, suck the genre, suck the flavor, the sauce, the spice that we carry. But then it only takes them to get one or two and infect everybody else with the negativity. And I equate that to what we see with hip hop. And in fact, they did a homage to so much popular music right now coming from the blues that came from the conditions of foundational Black Americans. Not to be confused with nobody else. Because somebody told me that Jamaican culture was Black culture. Somebody sent that to me in the text message. I'm like, Negro, please. But again, the misrepresentation of who we are and what we represent. And that's why I thought this movie was so profound. But you have to know your history. You have to know who we are. You have to know the atrocities and the horrors that were done to us, because some people are scared of the movie because they think it's a horror movie, but that don't even scratch the surface of what we really had to endure. We could talk about Natchez, Mississippi, and the Devil's Punch Bowl, where at least 10,000 of our people were deleted. That's one incident. We could talk about the postcards that were circulating with our deletions in a form of celebration, sending it around like it's holiday cards, like it's Christmas time, of our deletions and eliminations. And we see this still going on till this day. And so again, to your point, Sister Keisha, and I'm gonna pass the mic. You have to know our story for it to resonate with you and see the underlying message that exists in the movie. I would love to have a brother like Black Dot on and hear his take on it and let him break it down, because I know Black Dot would do it some justice. I'm just going by my observation, but brothers like Black Dot go into the esoteric realm and get real deep. I would love for our brother Anunnaki to hit
That's
on
what
it.
I was about to say.
Anunnaki ain't see it, so
I gotta bring him in last. You know.
Is
I
it
got
any?
a lot of perspective over here.
Is it? Would y'all say it was better than they clone Tyrone?
I think it's in about the same range for me.
Okay.
And I didn't watch
Yeah. Yeah. I got a homie. He saw it with his wife. I asked him if he wanted to go this weekend because like I said, I forgot last week was Mother's Day. So, when I had planned to see it on Sunday. He's married, so he took his wife, and he told me what he wanted me to do is watch it so that we could go again, and because he said he want to watch it again too. So he asked me to watch it by myself, and then we can go together so we can act, because he's like us, he'll analyze it and see the significations and so on and so forth. So he asked me to do it like that. I'm done.
That's what I'm talking about. For me, watching the film, definitely a lot of symbolisms, but what was key is that, as Tad said, you could see the blood sucking of a culture. But I hope no one missed this point. Even though they needed the culture, the music to survive, we let them in. We let them in. We always welcoming everybody up in the, you see what I'm saying? Always welcoming everybody up in the castle.
Hold up,
and
Sister
that
Keisha.
has been our problem for quite some time. Go ahead, Ted.
Hold up. I just got to correct you on that point. We didn't let them in. The Asian lady invited them in. Remember, she was mad.
Well, wait. We still let them in when we let one drop come in. So we still let them in because we called her family.
Okay.
We let them in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're talking about the movie or life?
Yes.
The movie.
Both.
Both.
Both of them. BOFFUM. Both of them. Both of them. Movie
But
and life.
yes, the need, and even with the Asian lady, right? When the brothers came back to Mississippi, they went to her and her husband, right? Because allegedly they were the ones who had the stuff that they needed, right? But the brother who was unalive first, in the film, didn't his woman tell him that? We got what you need right here.
Hold on. I think it was, all right, there was Smoke and Stack.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stack I think the sister was with Smoke, I believe. Smoke was the businessman. Stoke.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Stack was the party animal.
Right.
Let anything ride, because remember they had that plantation money.
Right.
And Smoke wasn't with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And remember, it was the Klansmen who brought them to see the property, right? That they wanted to buy for the juke joint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taking the word off of someone's feeling as opposed to your history and what you know. That's why they negated even thinking that white man was still a Klansman and he was coming back, even though they were told. You see what I'm saying? They put that out their mind.
No, they didn't.
No, I don't think so. I think they were prepared for them.
Yeah, he was prepared for them. He had it geared up in the woods. Remember, he said, I told you, you step foot back on my property. And he let them have it.
He did. He did.
He had that box. He had the box. And then within the film where they were like, oh, we left the box outside, we didn't bring it in and stuff like that. So they were prepared for the clans to come back, and they asked whatever his name was, are you guys clans? And he was like, what? There's no clans. What are y'all talking about? So they were prepared. They knew the time, they knew the flavor. But and it's the parallel of that, the juke joint being a slaughterhouse, and them being slaughtered, and then them coming to slaughter. It was really, really profound. Really profound.
It is. Me personally, I wouldn't have went to them. Period. But again, they had a reputation. And when they were in Mississippi, they lived by that reputation. But for those of you who didn't see the film, I would suggest you do so. Understand that there are many things that you may miss, like today. I don't know if you all are seeing in the social media world that they are now trying to push Irish and gingers on Black people. They say, no, they belong to y'all. They part of the one drop rule. They belong to y'all. And so, Sister Marcia shaking her head, so she know what I'm talking about. Going back to the film, who was the main vampire?
The
You got it,
Irish
sis.
And
And I thought about that.
I find that ironic that now they trying to push these gingers and Irish folks on us.
But they're also
But
really talking about that their potato famine story too, right? It's something that within the American lexicon that you're only given a glimpse of it through American literature, or American stories, but in this film they're really talking about it really in depthly. And then this is why I was talking about all these Anglos, or who whatever Yuugus are talking about their own stories now on how, I didn't know anything about my story. I didn't know that Britain had colonized my country and stuff like that. I don't know anything. And so again, it is what America does the best is strip your knowledge of your past, no matter who you are. And if you're in a popular group, you're just like, yeah, I'm just white and I'm good and I don't need to know anything else. And now this film is making you look deeper, those who want to, about what their story really is and who their people really are and how they came to be. So again, that cultural or that racial interracial conversation that's happening now, it's really profound, but it does not remove who and what white folks do to our people at all. Just because you're learning about yourself doesn't remove that when you come here, you strip yourself of everything and you become this blanket person and then try to terrorize folks because you are given carte blanche.
Agreed. But I want to add this point that now that, these delineation movements are happening, and it's not just with Black folks. If you've been paying attention, white folks are putting pressure on the U.S. government to delineate itself from Israel. And it's working. It's working because now Benjamin Netanyahu himself says that he wants to wean Israel off of the dependency of the United States. Now, no matter what, Israel is going to go at Iran. And so, I believe that the current administration has made adjustments as they reaching out to the Saudis and all of those folks over there. A $600 billion business deal for the United States. And it's an eyesore to Israel. But even people who say they are Jewish are also delineating themselves from Israel. So it's all in these social media spaces. So you all can check them out as your leisure. And I'm going to try to find some as we go throughout our show. But pay attention to all of this that I'm saying, because you're going to hear more and more about it. Those of you who follow Candace Owens, she too has been pushing for quite some time the U.S. delineation from Israel. So it's going to be quite interesting how this plays out. But I wanted to continue with our brother Black because, and we're going to deal with this briefly. If you want to know more information about Diddy and the shenanigans, you can shoot over there to Doggy Diamonds TV, and he got video after video after video after video giving you great details on his perspective on what it is that he sees. From what I have heard thus far, it's a lot of shenanigans going on. And his attorneys ain't playing with the prosecution at all. You know, when you get people on the stand, things go awry. Things go awry. But we're going to start out with our brother Blacksmith. What is your thoughts on what's happening now with this Diddy trial? Brother Black, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Now we can.
Okay. As far as Diddy's concerned, it ain't looking too good. Cassie's 8 months pregnant and talking about all the crazy stuff he put her through. She's a very sympathetic type. She's light-skinned. She's not fully black from what I understand. I think she's some type of Latina. So she's spilling the beans and talking about what actually happened at these places. She was with him for over 10 years. So what didn't she know? And that tape or video or whatever you want to call it in this day and age was so like damaging to him. He even had to issue an apology when he should have said nothing. He should have just let that rock, because a guilty admission right there means what else did you do that we didn't see? So with all the people that are going to testify against him, because if they don't talk, they're going to get, whatever they got on you, they're going to use against you. I don't see no chance of him getting away with this. Even if he get put in the country club for the rest of his life, I don't see him getting out of prison. He's already in his mid-50s, so even if he do 20 years, that's basically a life sentence for him at this point. And with that, I yield.
I hear you. Sister Aruba 927 says, I'm disgusted with that weirdo. Brother Tad, your thoughts on, with his Diddy shenanigans?
This is an interesting trial. And I love doing this show. I love y'all. I love our audience. We got a sophisticated group. If we could remember, over a year ago, March of 2024, right before Diddy home was raided, Sister Keisha, you gave a breakdown, unbeknownst to any of us, that this was coming to play, where each government agency function is. We talked about Department of Homeland Security, ATF, FBI, ICE. We talked about all these people and what their functions was. And lo and behold, about a week or two later, Department of Homeland Security raids Diddy's home. But now, they raided his home, really didn't have no evidence. They were scouring, looking for this, looking for that. All these allegations were swirling around. Now Diddy's being charged with RICO and sex trafficking. Do we really know what a RICO charge is? Most people don't. Sex trafficking, we can indict this country on that. However, what we're seeing is Diddy being lynched publicly. It's a humiliation ritual. From my summation, I could be wrong. All the facts, all the evidence isn't in. Is he a freaky ass? Yeah. But is that a crime? Depending on who you talk to. So what we're talking about is domestic violence, which is a state level crime. He paid her off. She asked for the money, paid her 24 hours later. But where's the co-conspirators? They threw everybody in there. They threw Jay-Z in there. Jay-Z did the classic Bed-Stuy thing. Always quiet, but said, hold up, don't put me in that. Said, where I'm from, we don't play that. I got a wife, I got daughters. We don't play that with children or young people. Don't put me in that. And everybody know that to be true. It's a thin line between know and scrape. We don't scrape around here. I know I don't. I committed many crimes, but scrape ain't one of them. Right? But then all of the anti-diddlers was like, aha. But then they threw Jaguar right in there. She like, she like, how did my name get in there? I say all that to say that it's easy to lie on somebody. I always tell people, lie to me, don't lie on me. Because you lie to me, I don't suffer no consequences. I just may get wrong information. But if you lie on me, there's dire consequences. I'm glad Bill Cosby home. I will always say that. Let him know Shannon Sharp should have learned his lessons from Bill Cosby. Leave him white girl alone. We just talked about sinners. But with Diddy, we're seeing him being tried in the court of public opinion. And Sister Keisha, you understand the law. You know that there's rules to engagement in the law. You can't just say somebody did something and not prove it. And even some witnesses have to take accountability, and not just take accountability, but then your credibility is going to be tested too. Because from one of the S workers' testimonies, Cassie the one who called them up. From the S worker testimony, Cassidy was the one who said, do the R. Kelly to me. How can we put this all on one man? And I always take it personal. I tell people, given my background, it's easy to be lied on. Where, you know, I'm coming from the streets, most people know. And when you lied on in the streets, you either get incarcerated or deleted. And I've seen it done plenty times. Dudes do time for things they did not do, or somebody exaggerates it, and then they got to go up. Or people get deleted because somebody lied on them. So I take that very serious. I'm not saying Puff is innocent of any of these charges by no stretch of the imagination. I was not there. Said this before. I said it 1,000 times. I've only been around Puffy 2 times in my life. And it wasn't like we spoke and shook hands. One time at his party, and it was not a freak off. And another time at a video shoot. That was it. That was it. I don't.
Everybody say that they was at the party, but they ain't see no freak off.
Right. Well, look, I was with my lady at the time. I was with Kayla's mother. So if I'd have looked wrong, I might have got clocked in the eye. You know what I'm saying? Letty ain't playing that. But my point is that it's easy to point a finger, but if you didn't witness it, you can't say it's definite. Is he a freak? Yeah. Is he bi? I guess so. He admits to it. But these are some serious allegations that's being levied against him, and he don't even have the co-defendants to substantiate the RICO Act. The RICO is like somebody commits a crime at the behest of you, but they got to lock that person up. Lock up the person who did the crime. And then you got to tie me up in that. But you can't say I'm running this criminal enterprise and there's nobody in the enterprise but me. I don't know if it's the Delage, and I'm going to pass the mic because it's so multi-layered. Remember when he said Delagio was racist? Delagio is the parent company that owns Ciroc and all that stuff. Remember he said they was racist, they owed me money. He was suing them for his back money he didn't get kicked off with because they was giving the white dudes they proper pay like George Clooney and all them. They was getting big bucks, but again, they was treating Puff like sinners. You know what I'm saying? We're going to use you to get in the door. But check this out now. And I don't know if y'all heard this, but Delagio is in trouble because all that Casamigos and stuff wasn't even real tequila. So they in trouble now for selling it as premium alcohol when it was subpar alcohol. Wasn't even what they said it was. So was Puff right? I mean, I don't know. These are just things to think about. And I say that because most people don't think. Whatever the media say, people just run with it. Puff scraped all the girls and did this, that, and the third and flew them out. And he had Jaguar Wright with him and Jay-Z. And they ran the train on Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres filmed it. And I've heard that, like the wildest things. And people say it as if they were there. And it shows me how much they don't know. Now, all that freaky stuff with people doing their bedroom is they business. Because I thought we was in the rainbow age. I thought it was okay to be like that. I mean, ain't that what they think about black people? But I'm gonna step off my soapbox. I just say I can't wait to see all of this unfold. And what I'm hearing so far, I don't know. Even with the Keefe D thing, you know what I'm saying? People exactly, you know what I'm saying? Don said, Keefe D, everybody just putting this on Puff, but where's the evidence? He blew up Kid Cudi car. Where's the evidence? Oh, he deleted somebody in the studio in the bathroom. Where's the evidence? You making allegations, and the serious crimes, y'all don't even call the police on them. But then, because him and his girl ain't getting along, now it's a federal case. Strange times we living in. Boys could be girls, and girls could be boys. So,
brother, Sister Marcia, before you go, I just want to disagree with Brother Tad on this. Remember, if it's RICO, there are plenty of co-defendants. They just haven't been named yet. Okay, this is what makes this case, like you said, unusual. And now I will agree with you on that, because there has to be co-defendants in a RICO. It means it's a continuous racketeering operation. That's what it actually means. Okay, right. Now, with that said, the nature of this case will be focused on him, because he was the conduit for people to rise up, like how Hugh Hefner was when he was alive, or if he's still alive or whatever. All I'm saying to that is a lot of that stuff is going to come out. This trial is not going to be a one-off thing and he's going to go or forever in the sunset or like, go to jail. This is going to be a thing that's going to happen, surprise witnesses, people coming at the last moment, people that get religion and change their minds. It's so much involved in this, because along with that case with the alcohol company is all the other cases. Remember, there's different jurisdictions. His houses got raided in California and in Florida. So this is not just a one case thing. There's going to be more to it. Sister Marcia, your go.
What I was going to say, right, Brother Black, while Sister Marcia get it together, your mic is on. Double jeopardy. Now is the time to bring these quote unquote co-defendants in. They could abscond. They can leave the country. They can flee while this trial goes on. And if they can't get these people to then Puff gets off, you can't try him again. So I can't imagine them letting the quote unquote co-defendants go on, knowing that the beef is on, the battle, like this is the war. Court is adversarial. This is not for justice. This is somebody got to go down. It ain't never been about justice. Somebody got to win. Somebody got to lose. So they should at least have the co-defendants in custody, or at least use them as witnesses and have them secured. And any defense attorney with a GED can always attack the credibility and talk about prosecution offering them leniencies for their testimony and things like that, which would damage the prosecution's case. I mean, it's multi-layered. I mean, he can beat this. I'm not saying he should, but for the allegations, they're just focused on his ex-girlfriend. That's who they're focused on. They're supposedly star witness, because I think they had 3 main witnesses. She's victim number 1. Then they had victim number 2. Don't know who victim number 2 is. And from what they said Monday, they had a hard time locating victim number 3. So if you only got quote unquote 3 people, and we damn sure not talking about the little girl from the BET Awards party, because I don't even know why they gave her the light of day. What a cockamamie story. And that's what I'm saying. We're getting misinformation and we're holding on to it as if we were literally there, which in my opinion is dulling our critical thinking senses, because that's what you got to have when you're in these courtrooms. It's not what you think. It's what you can prove. People make an allegation on anything. And because there's rules, there's technicalities. You got to know how to argue these cases, but I don't know. Go ahead, Sister Marcia.
I believe one of the witnesses is going to be Ali Carter.
Okay. Could be.
All I can say is that if Diddy is tried, so must Cassie, because she said, and I quote, "I called the escorts. I call the people for their monthly freak offs. There are the big parties, and then there were the private parties that they were having. And she said she was in charge of getting those people. So with that, she also must be charged. I do not like, she says, oh, because I was Mexican, he said this and that about me. Your race does not matter to me. You are complicit in these acts, and now you're bringing up, oh, I'm Mexican, so yada yada yada, and he made me feel bad because I wasn't black enough and I had to do this and that. Lady, please. And to sit there and as a mother, right, to sit there and say, oh, and every reporter keeps talking about, oh, she's pregnant, and she's talking about these things. How traumatic for her that she's pregnant. If I hear she's pregnant one more time, I don't feel that's a factor. And let's say this. When the money is good, the money is good, and I'm all for it. Once things start changing, or my ideas start changing, or I find myself and I don't want to do these things, now the person is a bad guy. The person was a bad guy from the beginning. You kept going to it. And I understand, and I'm not calling this not a DV situation. However, when someone stays and remains in an abusive situation, the first time, and I know Brother Tad has talked about this before, going up and saving people from abusive situations, and then they go back to their abuser. You can't call your abuser out after you remained there for years. You didn't, and you didn't just find out he was an abuser. So you were enjoying your time for some time, and I get it. We've all done certain things that we may not have wanted to be in the situation. But once we go out and then we go back in, you also are a culprit to your abuse. And then saying, oh, they peed in my mouth and they did this. I don't really care, because you were there, and it's, and I think someone was, one of these commentaries, YouTube people were talking about, oh, it's just like R. Kelly. No, it's not. The Kelly situation was a young girl who at the time had parents to protect her, and that parent did not do that. But this is a grown person at 21, 22 years old. You wanted to partake in these type of situations. You called for particular escorts. Some of these escorts, per your words, really wanted to, have other type of relationships with you. And you kept coming back. So I don't know. I think this is like really disgusting of Diddy, but it is the industry. But it is the industry. Yes, and Cassie. But it is the industry. Absolutely.
I disagree with you, Sister Marcia, on one point.
No problem.
Yeah, real quick. I disagree with the fact that, Cassie was young, 18, 19 when she signed the deal. Her album came out when she was probably 21-ish. I don't know the exact numbers at the moment. And you have to understand something. She can use, based on that video, that she was scared to leave him, because that video was from 2015, 16, somewhere in there. So they were already together like 7, 8 years at that point. I don't know how many years, but they were already together for a long time. So how many times did she try to leave him before that? And what was the response before we actually saw the video? Because she said he was always, well, I ain't going to say he was abusive the first year, but maybe the first time she tried to leave him, he did that, or something similar, or wild it out, and she didn't know where it was going to go. So let me stay so I don't get killed over here. Because he already had did the shootout at the club with Sean at that point. So he was already known to be potentially dangerous at that point.
Agree. And again, even Kim, right? When you remain, can you turn off your mic, please? When you remain in an abusive situation, at some point, it is your fault. Because you know the person is going to knock you out, and yet you are so attached to the finance. You don't feel that you could live independently. I've spoken to people in domestic violence situations, and I get it. Sometimes you say, "Oh, I just need to do this. I need to keep this abuse going for a particular reason, for my own particular whatever financial reasons, right?" And 9 out of 10 times, it's always a financial reason, or it's a child involved that I need to keep X, Y, and Z safe, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. But at some point, we have to care about ourselves. 11 years later, she finds an out. I don't know. I have a hard time with people who remain in abusive situations. And I get it. She started her relationship with him at 18 years old, but 11 years later, she found her path. She found everything like that. But then don't throw him under the bridge, because you should have thrown him under the bridge a long time ago. You had enough in time to throw him under the bridge. And you were complicit. You called for the escorts. You need to be charged as well. That's my position. And I get what you're saying, because, I don't know. I can't have pity for people that stay in abusive relationships.
And I just want to add this to what you're saying, Sister Marcia. She should have just stayed with Ryan Leslie. He got his money up. He's not involved in none of these shenanigans. The man is chilling. He forgot about Cassie. Puff stole her. He's like,
she wanted greener pastures. It's greener on the other side. I can get more. I can do this. I can do da. Listen, even in Sinners, they showed you the vampires took whatever the one dropper. The only reason why they got her is because she accepted the coins. If she had dropped the coins down, he could not take her. When you continue to get bribed for coins, then it's your fault. It's your fault.
And I want to hear and that was so right about accepting the money, because we're not going to sit here and act like people won't do almost anything to get up on these millionaires/billionaires who they think could help their career. They doing it to the dude on the corner just because he got a nice car. Imagine what they would do with a guy who could fly you around the world. And just for the record, I'm gonna just state this and pass the mic to Sister Keisha. They said Puff had people sign NDAs for all of this stuff. Letting everybody know, you ever go away with me, we're not signing NDAs, we signing permission slips. That's it. I want full agreement and cooperation. We not hiding nothing. We want permission slip. Like you had to go on trips at school? Yeah, I want a permission slip. That's it. Sister Keisha.
He crazy. Here's the thing. Again, I look at things in historical context. First, let me get it off the rip. I don't give a damn what happens. Because you have to get your sexual urges and aggressions under control, because they will always come back to bite you. Okay? It is the most intimate act that will always come back to bite you. Now, in a historical context, when you all get a chance, I want you to look at the case New York Times v. Sullivan. New York Times v. Sullivan will clearly explain what is going wrong with this Diddy trial. Also, if you can, when you have the time, to research the history of Black men 45 years ago. Research, you can put it in your chats or whatever it is y'all use. Put in what happened to Black men 45 years ago. Okay. So I'm going to give you two cases. I had to write them down here. I gave you New York Times v. Sullivan, but I want you to also look at California, v. Bake, Bakke, okay? Bakke. I want you to look at that. And then I want you to look at Gilmore versus the city of Montgomery case. In those cases, everything that you're seeing that is wrong, that what you think law is, will make things clearer for you. I don't have enough time to go through the context of that, but I'm giving y'all a premise. And it will give you an understanding. You can get the cliff notes of those cases if you want, or put it in YouTube. Maybe you have some cliff note information on those cases. Also, what happens is that was 1978. You had the Black exploitation films, the over-sexualization of Black men during that time. You had the beginning of the war on drugs at that same time. You will notice that some Black politicians were getting wrapped up in cases during that time. And it will give you a clear forecast of what it is you're seeing now. Everything happens it repeats itself. Let me just say that. History repeats itself. So, Black men were coming home from war, abandoned by the country. There were a lot of criminal cases that took place as far as Black men is concerned. But find out what happened to Black men in 1978. And then next week, we'll come back and we'll chop it up. How about that? All right. So I'm just giving you all a little. Say that again.
I said put that in the chat because I got California versus Bake up, and then I got the.
I already did. Chat, brother. Chat. It's in there already.
Chat.
My brother. It's
also
in private chat.
Yes, he did.
I see it.
He got you. Ain't like he got you covered.
Yes, I put it in the chat for the people too.
Yeah, put it in there for the people. There you go. So that'll give you all a premise as to what it, because also in 1978 or around that time, I think it was, I'm trying to remember my notes. I think it was the summer. I gotta find it's scrolled in here. I take notes funny. Don't make fun of me, but I know what I'm doing. It's my way of doing things. And I was in a hurry to get here to start the program this evening. But the deinstitutionalization hit Black communities hard. As factory jobs went away, many Black men faced high unemployment and were disproportionately affected by poverty. The war on drugs began to escalate, and you had those folks in fear. And so a lot of Black men were accused of essaying folks. Y'all don't have to believe me. Just Google what I tell you. And you're going to find out what I'm telling you, okay? So we'll discuss more of that next week so that you all can get caught up. But like I said, our last program, and shout out to Sister Brooke. She did an excellent job on her channel going through the history of African countries enslaving, kidnapping, and pillaging other Black people on the continent. Some people will say, well, you can't say because it's a fact. I like to deal in fact. All right, hold on a second. I like to do a little bit of fact here because a lot of things took place. There were a lot of wars that took place when the Salaga slave market was in full effect. And let me tell you, this is just one, slave market in Ghana. There were several, and they were profitable till recently. Okay? Listen, you're going to deal with it. You're going to deal with it tonight. Because it's important that you have a clear understanding of what it is you're involved in, what it is that you're hearing, and some of the chatter that's been going on in social media spaces. And a lot of people get addicted to feel-good history, right? So no one ever asked the question, Brother Tad, Sister Marcia, Brother Black, why is it that countries such as Ghana, Burkina Faso, Mali, Namibia, the Congo, all have these repatriation programs? The, year of return Ghana had, right? A lot of people that I know, including my brothers here, have taken trips to the country of Ghana, the nation of Ghana. One of the places that they take on a lot of these tours is the slave dungeons, the castles, and things of that nature. But when you look at all of these different slave markets, a lot of people have not been. In fact, they had closed the Salaga site down and turned it into I guess a parking lot for business events in that area. And now recently they're trying to revitalize the property and I think make it a tourist attraction as it once was. So tonight we're going to see a brother who I follow on YouTube and on Instagram. I think he's an excellent journalist from Ghana. And he specifically deals with these slave markets. Also, as Sister Brooke had in her presentation, Dr. Professor Purby. She is one of the leading authorities on history in Ghana today. She comes from also a prominent family. But let me just give some context here. Between 1619 and 1808, many African entities, kingdoms, chiefdoms, and local authorities were involved in the transatlantic slave trade rather than modern countries, which didn't exist in their current form at the time. These were pre-colonial African states or polities, right, that played varying roles in capturing and selling people into slavery, often in exchange for weapons, goods, and political alliances. Some of the most prominent African polities, those are communities, if those who don't know what that word is, involved include, now these are the old names, right? The Kingdom of Dahomey, right, which is modern day Benin, right? The Ashanti Empire, modern day Ghana, the Oyo Empire, modern day Nigeria, Kingdom of Benin, modern day Nigeria, and so on and so forth, right? Angola, Republic of the Congo, Guinea, Senegal, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Togo, Cameroon. In fact, I think one of the most kindest warriors on the African continent that was empathetic to captured slaves was Queen Nzinga. She offered they gave them an option to join her military. But from what my reading and understanding is, she was one of the most empathetic. The rest were quite brutal. Now, this Salaga slave market, you're going to talk about, some people will say, well, the white man went there, to retrieve or buy slaves who were captured during war. Because again, remember, a lot of these factions were warring with each other and European powers like the British and the Dutch and the French. So they were always fighting. However, that wasn't the gist of slave markets. Slave markets like the Salaga was purely for profit for that region. Purely for profit for that region. And I'm talking thousands. And we're going to show some video about the Salaga slave market and its historical context, but I just wanted you all to get a pretext of what we're going to go into and why all of these nations were involved in the slave trade. I'm trying to, let me see if I can, here we go. I got 1 second, family. Here's the brother who's, I think, is a brilliant journalist. And you should follow him. His information is in the description. You should follow him on Instagram as well, if you want to know more about these African slave markets. Also, we're going to go back to Sister Brooks' video as well. But let's play this, and I hope you can listen and hear intently because his accent is really thick. Not the brother in the yellow and black. He is the interviewer. The brother in the blue is the museum tour guide of the Salaga slave market. But let's hear it and we'll come right back.
This was the main market. This is where the slaves are brought for sale. Here they are displayed like what we are seeing. And it wasn't only human beings that they sell. It's a mixed market. So it used to be called Babankaswa. Babankaswa, meaning big market. Big market. Yes, it extends from here up to the other side. History has it that it can take you like 3 hours roaming in the market. Yes, 3 hours.
That must be very big.
He said the market was so big it'll take you 3 hours to go through it. So you would have people who would go buy their goods and pick up a slave at the same market. This how it was. But we'll continue. Hold on.
Very, very big. Yes. So you can have at least about 2,000 to 3,000 slaves arriving alongside other commodities
like goods.
Gold, yes. So sometimes that's why sometimes it discuss like that the slaves are being commodified. They are being
commodified, like
yes.
commodities.
Yeah, they are mixed with other commodities. So the way you go to the market looking for commodities, such as like this, and that's how the slaves are being also exhibited here in the market.
So someone can come like, I'm looking for a female slave, I'm looking for a child
to buy.
I'm looking for a child to buy. So like, who is this guy?
Yeah, this depicts one of the slaves. Like I told you earlier, most of the slaves here are brought from Upper East, Upper West.
Okay.
So again, he's saying, just go up to the market, you get your goods and all of that, but you can pick up a slave. Now, I know that a lot of people, think that, well, I'll let the brother tell you. I'll let the brother tell you, and we'll come right back because we're going to get some context here. Hold on.
Can share it with us, sis?
She frozen or she needs a minute? She's not frozen.
Are you frozen, Sister Marcia?
No. Are you frozen, brother?
No, I'm here.
No one was saying.
She'll be back. She'll be back.
Here.
She's here.
Okay.
So I guess you could go to the market, get a loaf of bread.
Well, but isn't that particular? You could go to Home Depot and pick up a day worker. So it's like, the environment, like, again, history does not repeat itself. People do. The context.
Wait. I want to go back to something you said. You said you could go to Home Depot like the same thing, but nobody is in Home Depot in a yard in chains.
Absolutely.
Nobody was kidnapped from their home and put in Home Depot.
No. Now
I don't want that to just go out there. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Home Depot and they do that willingly.
Right.
They take themselves to Home Depot because they want a job.
Right.
For the day. So
right.
These people Because I want us to keep it in the proper context, because when you look at people like the R. Kellys, the Diddy's, the whoever's, where does that sexual perversion come from? So when you go to these markets like the Salaga, I'm gonna have to mute somebody because I can't. But when you do that, when we, try to nullify the horror that has happened at this particular market, we do ourselves a disservice, and that's been the problem with Pan-Africanism. We like to sensationalize the story as if Africa had no part of its own, as if it was war with Urugu that fueled these slave markets, when in fact it was not. And that's why I go to their historians to let them tell us what the truth is. Even a market called Kata, right? You hear that, a Kata, all the time. That's an actual slave market. That's the name of it. So, when they saying these words to us, I've heard people say, well, that's like saying the N-word, or you a slave. Well, why would they say that? Because you are a slave. You came from that market. So I just want us to be clear and not muddy any waters when it comes to comparison, because for too long, the continent has been skated as far as its role in enslavement. So I just wanted to go ahead with that. But go ahead, finish with your point, Sister Marcia. I didn't want to cut you up, but I just wanted to make that point.
No, what I was saying is that, when you look at history at its blanket line, it is that at some point we as people repeat history willingly, right? So like you were bringing up Diddy and P and R. Kelly, this could be remnants of those homes where I don't remember what they were called. Please, someone help me out. But those homes, yes, thank you. Those farms where they did that to our people, right? So I'm not saying it as, oh, it's carte blanche. I understand that we are complicit in the behaviors that come out of what has happened to us. But at the same time, and not even and at the same time, we willingly repeat history as we choose not to learn from the story, understand what the implication of the story is. So now someone who, came by foot from whatever country, from Brazil, walked over here, came here, and then people, what was the great mother's name who said we didn't walk the barren straits?
Barbara Sizemore?
Say that again.
Is it Barbara Sizemore?
No, but one of these sisters, Sister Keisha had shared her information, and her book is like $1,000.
Sharshi McIntyre.
Thank you, brother. We didn't walk the barren straits, but yet people are walking through South America into North America for quote unquote freedom or a better life. And yet they are choosing to put themselves in such a dangerous predicament just to come to the land of milk and honey. And the people that are living here are saying there's no milk and there's no honey, and you have to be ready to fight. And, and this is what is wrong about anyone, and my parents included, that migrate or immigrate into this country is they put their heads down and they forget about the plight of the people while escaping the plight of their own homeland in order to thrive or whatever. And so, yes, in the beginning, we were captured. It was bondage. But now we're willing to ignore the circumstances of people in order to get Cassie's money. We don't get Cassie's money, but you understand what I'm saying, Brother Ted?
Clearly. I got to give you a round of applause for that, because that is true. People escape the plights of their own homeland, come here, and then ignore our homeland, our plights, and then tell us we're ungrateful. You have all these opportunities. Why you don't take advantage? And you don't, like, now, without understanding the historical background of us being blocked out, and it's only being a small doorway that only so many could come through. So you see 2 or 3 get through, or maybe even 5 or 50 get through, but don't think that's the rule. That's the exception, you know, because once too many get in, they start changing capacity, filter capacity,
changing the rules, changing the rules. You know, yeah. So like Diddy wants to, if George Clooney wanted to do a lawsuit, oh, go ahead, George Clooney, you're all right. But now Diddy wants to do a lawsuit. Black man, you can't. Right. Oh, let's dig up what you've been doing, when all along you've known and you were complicit. Like, even Brother Tad, you brought up the fact that, you know, the postal service and the postcards of these great people who were unalived that they sent out. The post office is complicit in the deletion of our people, because they willingly circulated, you know, like, oh, it's a gift. Oh, hi, mother, I went to a picnic. Look what I saw. And your children are all around here. You know, Fannie Lou Hamer says it best. This flag is drenched with our blood. And y'all may say, I'm not a Black American, but I am a person whose blood has ran through America. Not just the United States, but all of America has tainted our souls. And until we understand the taint, we're going to be complicit.
But see, check this out, Sister Marcia. Are you saying Fannie Lou Hamer is not a Black American, or you're not a Black American?
No, I'm saying people may say.
Because once they come here and you're Black, you become a Black American once you become a citizen. And that's why we use the term foundational.
I understand. I agree. But some people would say, you know, your parents are still not from here, so you're not from here.
Right. But, so that's wrong. And that's why we got to split the hairs, because, again, here it is, something serious we've been fighting for decades, centuries, almost. Yeah, you say about 2 centuries. We've been fighting for our 40 acres and a mule, right? So centuries we've been fighting for this thing. And now that we're at the cusp of getting it, you have people, by definition, who identify, funny word, identify as Black Americans, jumping in front of the line and thwarting our efforts without really understanding what's been going on and how long this fight has been going on. You know, so that's why we appreciate you and our brother Blacksmith, people who get it, because this is not anti other Black people. This is pro us for what we have to do. We are doing what other Black people have not done in their country. Black people in America ain't got nowhere to run. Well, I'm gonna run to Haiti. Well, I'm gonna run to Jamaica.
Shoot, Haiti right now doesn't even want people in there because they've fallen complicit to the man, right? So that's a story for another day. Sister Keisha, please continue with the video.
So I want to ask a question. Was the white man ever here to, undergo this business?
Yes, that is one thing that will marvel people. The white man has never come to the Senegal slave market.
The white man was never in Senegal
for slave market. Senegal, during the slave trade, the white man has never come here. They came, but that was afterwards the slave trade was even abolished, long before then. But during the slave trade, the white man never just stepped here.
So how was the trade then happening without them?
Yes. Before the slave trade, in the 16th century, Senegal became the #1 cola market in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
And it was this, the Hausa, and then the Zabarma people and other tribes who were here trading in that doing in that particular trade.
So I want to ask
I heard
You
him.
heard him say the white man was never there. I told you it was profitable for them. That's why when you have these tours, they always going to the Elmina Castle over there where they was doing business after it was done. I'm telling you that they were profiting in big money.
Sister
right
Keisha,
here.
Can I tell you
And
something?
this place is bordered with Burkina Faso and Nigeria, who also participated and benefited. And I find it ironic that when you look at returning home, the most requested or the most sought after place is Ghana. When I look at Ibrahim Traore in all of his greatness, when I see so many Black Americans on code and support, you know, the ancestors and history will smile at you when you think you're frowning. They will smile at you when you think you're frowning. So the other day, I made a post on Instagram. Millions of people, Black people around the world, stood up in support of Ibrahim Traore. Find me 3 Africans in support of reparations. I'll wait. You know, I'll tell you, boy. I tell you. But
Sister
let me go ahead, Brother Tad, while I cue this up. Go ahead.
To your point, do you know that when you go to the dungeons, for those who may not know, there's a price for Ghanaian citizens and there's a price for foreigners. And as a Black American, you pay more.
Oh, shoot.
I was sitting on my phone scrolling, trying to see if I took a picture. As a Black American, you pay more to go to the dungeons. Now, if somebody they think I'm lying, please put it in the chat. Even if you watch the playback, this is a fact. There's different prices. Yeah, come home, but don't leave your pocketbook.
I've heard that as well, and I think this is.
I'm telling you, it's a fact. There's a person who's been there 4 times.
I'm not discrediting you. I'm just saying that this is something that they do universally too. Like, you know, there's a price for at-home people and there's a price for people that's coming from abroad. It's a universal thing that they do to exhibit halls, as they call it now, right? It's an exhibit hall.
She's right. Go ahead.
And what I've heard from a sister is like that, you know, sometimes as you visit these prison halls, you can hear wailing and stuff like that, that they have crisis actors there to plague on the sympathy of people visiting there, so that you could be like, oh my God, this sounds like somebody. So we have to truly be mindful on how they like tug on us, right? And again, I have yet to be to the continent. I will get there sometime soon, but that is something that I would not want to experience. I don't need a crisis actor to tell me how to feel, because I'm going to feel bad just being in that space. I don't need to think that the walls are wailing when it's 18-year-old boy in the back trying to get his 5 cents over, you know, my entrance fee, because he wailed real good. Oh, you really made those people cry today. Here you go. You get an extra quarter. I don't need that. But those are my thoughts.
Right on, sis. Right on. It happens in the Caribbean too, but I don't play them games. I'm from Brooklyn. You're not getting an extra cent out of me. Or you can go back to the shanty town. I don't play them kind of games. Don't play with me. But as you know, Brother Tad and Brother Black can confirm, you know, they sold you, but now they charging you to come home. You see, when we get our reparations here, it just don't stop. I'm telling you, I'm not playing with people because I got to account to my ancestors when I leave this planet. I hope you can account for yours. You understand? But let me play this and we'll come right back. Hold on.
That's how many people they took. Okay, let's keep going.
And a friend was telling me that.
That's right. I was going to bring it back so we could hear her say that again. Hold on 1 second. We're going to bring that back.
Loss of population. Those in the northern part of Ghana, for example, claim that there are still parts in Ghana right now which are desolated because of enslavement. And they could recall raids and wars, kidnapping and so on. And a friend was telling me that in a certain part of the northern country, a place called Sandema, every year when they have a festival, they bring out certain artifacts connected with enslavement. And they've ritualized it to the extent that nobody will tell you about it until the festival is on. And then you find them bringing chains and bangles and so on, and virtually worshiping them in memory of what they went through during enslavement. And that was an area where there was a lot of slave raiding going on, slave kidnapping during the period of enslavement. And then on the coastal parts of the country, there were a few cases of depopulation. The picture of the past enslavement in Ghana or Africa is one in which you find different means of acquiring slaves. I can identify about 5 major means of acquisition. The first was through warfare, and that was really a major means of acquisition. Now, I don't think we want to enter into that debate whether the wars were fought because of enslavement or enslavement was incidental to the wars, because there's still a disagreement. But what I have found in my own research as I talk to chiefs, elders, and so on, is that enslavement was incidental to the wars which were fought in Ghana. In other words, the wars were not expressly fought because they wanted to catch slaves. But there were several reasons for warfare: expansion, conquest, retaliation, aggression, and so on. And if you look through the history of the world from ancient times, you find that it was a practice that whenever you engage in a war and you became victorious, you take away prisoners of war. And inevitably, these prisoners of war became enslaved as a result. So it became an ancient practice which was carried on through the modern period. And so if you look at Ghana history and African history, from about the 15th century to the 19th, early 19th century, you find warfare as one major means of enslavement. And it's very striking, especially when we come to Atlantic enslavement, because although warfare was a source of enslavement for both internal and external, you find that the external demand was so high that warfare played a very major role in it. And if you read some of the travelers' accounts and traders' memoirs, you find them mentioning sometimes that in the early 1700s, for example, there was a gentleman called Barbot, a French trader, and he said he had combed the whole of the coastline in Ghana and found only 8 slaves from east to west. But 2-3 weeks earlier, because there was warfare, somebody had gotten about 200 to 300 slaves. And you find them expressing these things in their memoirs as you read. And they seem to be sad that there is no war,
Let's just break down what she said. First of all, again, shout out to Brooke for doing this. We were talking about Africa's role in enslavement, and I tried to find some videos for her and others that I thought would be easy start to researching what's happening. Now, when she's talking about warfare, and again, she is one of the leading authorities on history in Ghana. So, okay, we dealing with heavyweight here. So anyway, she's talking about these tribal beefs that were happening with each other. So let's say, for example, if you got Bloods, Crips, Decepticons, and Folklore is over here fighting, and Decepts win and Crips win, and they take the Bloods and folks and sell them. Could you imagine such a thing? But this is what happened. This is what, and you know, a lot of girls is walking around here with the name of Shanti. You might want to track that for a minute. You might. That's why I say research your family history. And you wonder why bad things are coming upon you. I wonder why. But let's continue and we'll come right back.
Pause right there. So she was going on saying that how, you know, one of the ways that they were able to pick up slaves was they would, you know, through war, you know, prisoners of war. Hi, E.T. York. Hi, Mr. Trade. And hi, Uptown.
Country where people could go to and buy slaves. Now, I've realized as I've researched about the slave markets that people did not go, the markets were not solely for slaves, but there were other items also being traded in. But as you enter the market, you find places for foodstuffs, places for household wear, etc. And then you find perhaps a section of the market also devoted for a trade in human beings. And I've been amazed in the course of my research to find that I've discovered at least about 35 of such slave markets in Ghana alone.
So you know how like in South Carolina, in New York, in New Jersey, well, in all the United States pretty much except for the West, just because, you know, they weren't really out there at that time, had slave markets. Well, you know, they had slave markets in Africa, they didn't just, you know, have it where you you know, where the raiding and prisoners of war, and then they take you and sell you to white folks. No, there were slave markets within the towns. So I think the one in Nigeria, I think I don't remember how many they said. I want to say something like 70 they said, but we'll just watch the earlier video. And I think they said 70 slaves, and then the 70 markets. And then here she said they had 35 markets that she knows about. And these are just the ones that they are able to find that they're honest about.
And every region in Ghana had at least 2 or 3 slave markets. And what is significant about this is that with respect to the indigenous enslavement, the ordinary person could go to any of the markets and buy a slave or 2 for personal use.
She said every town had about 2 slave markets, and that you could just go and just buy a slave for personal use. You know, it's just regular.
And so the markets were the commonest source of acquiring slaves so far as the indigenous system was concerned. It also helped the external system, but warfare was the major source for the external system. And the markets was the commonest source for the ordinary person who would go to the market, depending on your demand and your personal requirement, to buy 1 or 2 or whatever number of slaves you wanted to buy. So that was the market source. And then the third source was through what I'll call raids and kidnapping. We find that different states in Ghana, the kings and chiefs would go to their neighbors and raid or kidnap people and enslave them. There was one particular state in Ghana called Akwemu, which was noted for this. In the 18th century, 2 of their chiefs organized bands just to raid and kidnap for the Atlantic enslavement. And there were reports that different parts of the coast in Ghana were also involved in raiding and kidnapping. And then the northern part of Ghana was also noted for a lot of slave raiding and kidnapping during the period of enslavement. So that was the third source. The fourth is what I'll call tribute. Tribute was when a state
For real. For real, for real. So just to give you guys a little bit more information, that's like going to the key food. That's like going to the supermarket. You going to Trader Joe's. I'm gonna give me 2 eggs, 2 carton eggs, a carton of milk, and 3 little bowls.
2 people. And 2 people.
And the thing is, too, that what was happening, because I tell you, I have to break this up because y'all got to see what really went on here. So I have to break this down, and I have to break it up little by little. I put Sister Brooks' YouTube channel for those who wanted to know. It's in the chat. You can click on that and go straight to her channel. Also, I'm going to put the brother's channel in there also because his videos will blow your mind. And then next week when we come back and we wrap this up, I can give you a list of books that would complement these videos. But Sister Marcia, Brother Black, your thoughts on what it is that you've seen so far? You gotta unmute, Black.
Yeah, I'm here. I've said this on this show numerous times. In living in Ghana and learning more and more about history and seeing who we are as a people on both sides of the coin, or continents, as they say, that we're not the same people. And I've said before on this show that what we now known as the Turtle Islanders, to distinguish one from the other, if you want to call it Americas, North, South, and Central, versus the continent of Africa. We're from Sirius B and they're from Sirius X. I learned that from a brother named Remedy H. I talk about him all the time on this channel. And he's been beating that for a minute. And so I believe with the emergence of Traore and that dynamic, that the best of us are now going to merge together and the rest of us could just kick rocks. That's my opinion on my experiences. Now, based on what the woman is saying, I didn't really get too much into the slave markets and the history of where we may be from and where they're from, and the synergy between us two at a time that existed, if it existed at all. But with that said, we're seeing now that most of what we learn in history over time is false. So I'm gonna go with that, as opposed to like trying to enter into this as a dynamic that I'm gonna try to dissect, because my life experiences taught me what I'm saying now. Not everybody here is wrong and I'm right. So with that, I yield.
Brother Tad, your thoughts?
Now, it's funny that my brother say that, because I agree with him 100%. Particularly with going to Ghana, I love the people there. The people that I've met, the people I've connected with, clearly there's a cultural difference. I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised. Born in Brooklyn Jewish Hospital, went to Brooklyn public schools, Brooklyn Junior, you know what I mean? Hung out with big rap artists before they even became rappers, and, grew up in a particular culture, in the culture of hip hop, the culture that gave us Biggie, gave us Smith and Wesson, gave us Foxy Brown, people that I known before the music. It's a cultural paradigm shift. And to Brother Black's point about living his lived experience, rocking with that, that's what I do. Because what goes on in Ghana is Ghanaian culture. I enjoy it, love the food, love the people. There's some things that don't sit right with my spirit based on my cultural experience, like paying extra to go to a place that I'm supposedly been kidnapped from. And to see the last time my ancestors was on this soil, I got to pay extra to see that, to meet with the people who's supposed to have atoned for selling my ancestors off. I got to come with gifts, but y'all ain't got no gift for me. Like, you know what I mean? But it's a cultural thing, and I get it. And to Brother Black's point, you know, with history, we're making history every day. And I say this on the show all the time. Don't go by other people's experiences, what we read in books and hear in lectures, but let's go by our own personal experience. Let's find the value, the gold, and the diamonds in that. I'm not going to minimize my life experience for Malcolm X's life experience. I value everything that he's taught us and things that he's been able to articulate. However, that's his life and my life is mine, and I can never live the life he lived. Like, he will never live the life I've lived. But I say that because I watch so many people minimize their own thought processes and personal experiences to give value to a Dr. whoever, a Dr. Sukiyana, or whoever, based on what the quote unquote scholars say. But what do you say? Ain't that what Brother Bobby Wright say? It ain't what I say. It's what you say. What do you think about whatever he's talking about? What's the psychoacademic? What's the name of his book? The little book. It's over there on the bookshelf, but it's on YouTube. And that's the thing. We have to find the value within ourselves so we can interpret what's going on around us. Stop taking everybody's words as a prayer book and gospel. And with that, I'm off my soapbox. But I just say that to say I agree with my brother Black 100%. Oh, except being from Sirius B. He from the fifth galaxy. I'm from Brooklyn.
I feel you. From my perspective, I'm not letting nobody off the goddamn hook. Nobody, because again, as Sister Marcia said, what we're seeing today is remnants from a lot of actors. A lot of actors were participating in our demise and still do to this very day. So I'm not letting none of their asses off the hook. Now, again, like I say, even when I go to Jamaica, a lot of people, the people is cool. The people is cool. I get a lot of love over there. Trust and believe me. Trust. I get a lot of love over there. However, I'm telling y'all like I tell them, I keep it a buck. I'm not letting nobody off the hook. And I find it problematic that you have a year of return or opening your borders to the diaspora. But the ones you apologize to, the ones you admit to causing harm to, you want to charge them. We shouldn't pay a goddamn dime to go over there. It should be free room and board, all that. You owe, just like the cracker owe. So I'm not letting nobody off the damn hook, but I get what my brothers are saying. You know, I'm not letting their asses off the hook. But Sister Veronica, she said she wanted the books today. You don't listen, Sister Veronica. You don't listen. I'm gonna give you some, though. I'm gonna give you some. I'm gonna give you a couple of them, all right? Because it is very important that you have some literature to go with these videos. And again, these are their foremost authorities, not mine. So I'm going with they say. I'm looking at my notes. The slave trade, the story of the Atlantic slave trade, 1440 to 1870 by Hugh Thomas. Africa and the Africans in the making of the Atlantic world, 1400 to 1800 by John Thornton. The Atlantic slave trade by Hubert S. Klein. Transformations in slavery, a history of slavery in Africa, Paul E. Lovejoy. Slavery and African life. I think this is Patrick Manning. Yeah, it's Patrick Manning. But yeah, start out with that. Then come back and tell me say, all right? That's all I want to say. But something somebody said in the chat. Hold on. Gotta go back to it. Hold on.
You can also get any books written by Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism.
Oh Lord. You see.
Who's that? Who's that? I thought that was Dr. Sukiana.
Well, AKA Dr.
Oh, okay.
So you got to stay away from them snow bunnies, brother.
Oh Lord.
Never. Black queens forever.
Forever, ever? And wait, Brother Black put something in the chat. Hold on, let me copy and paste. Because see, Brother Black gonna be listening. He gonna be listening.
That's the book that Tad was talking about by Bobby Wright.
Right, psychopathic racial personality.
Yeah, there we go. He put the Amazon link in here. He be thinking I work for him, but we gonna change some things with Brother Black because he don't listen. It's that planet he from.
While you're talking about it, I put it in there. I'm not, I'm not gonna cut y'all off to put something in the chat.
Put it in the public chat. So
I'm on the SteamYard page.
And this is why he's computer class. I gotta give him some more class.
Brother Black, we all on the StreamYard page, bro.
I'm just gonna take the A train. Come see you. I need the personal effect. I can't do this online.
No, but Brother Black, you see on your top right hand corner, it says
I know how to do it. Me and Sister Keisha already had a class on that.
So that you could be in the chat. Where comments are.
That's for Brother Black. He needed that. He said he know how to do it, but hasn't done it yet.
Thank you. Just sign in.
It may be so many ounces of gold a year as tribute, or if they produced yams or any kind of foodstuffs, you tell them to produce a certain quantity a year. And during the period of enslavement, especially when the Atlantic enslavement was introduced, the picture you get is that instead of asking only for foodstuffs, some of the kings and chiefs would also ask for human beings as part of their tribute.
So she's saying that the kings and queens would ask for human beings as tribute. Now, I have someone in the chat that's saying in their research, this information is not actual facts. Now, I'm interested. So what are the facts? Because the videos that I showed you yesterday was Nigerians explaining. That was a tour of the Nigerian slave dungeons. If something is wrong on what I'm saying,
especially when the Atlantic enslavement was introduced, the picture you get is that instead of asking only for foodstuffs, some of the kings and chiefs would also ask for human beings as part of their tribute. And especially Asante was noted for this. And Asante, for example, would ask Salaga for about 1,000 slaves every year, would ask some people from the coastal.
She said the Ashanti would ask the Salaga for about 1,000 slaves a year. Continue.
Parts Fante Ga to provide maybe another 500 or 300 slaves every year. So tribute was another means of.
Asante would demand, because she's saying ask. It sounds like a demand.
The kind of people who were enslaved was a broad spectrum, because normally if it was war or raids or kidnapping, they would move into a town or a village and conquer and take all the people. And when you read the documents, you find statements like they've dragged all the men, women, boys, and girls away. Sometimes you find that they've left the older men and the older women, but they've taken the young boys, the girls away. So you find that it's the people in the prime of their youth who are usually taken. And sometimes it goes through a series of processes. First of all, you raid a group or you engage in.
Again, so that means parents had their kids taken away. And y'all did not look for your kids.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But again, I put that video in the chat, and I'm also going to put the brothers' YouTube channel in the chat before we close out. But I want us to walk away with a clear understanding that what you see going on today, the lack of care that is missing in community. Where does all of this come from? I remember when I was younger, and we would dance to dancehall and reggae music, and you know how that go. But the women in my family were very much perturbed by such vulgar dancing, and I'm wondering if something in them was triggered by what Sister Marcia mentioned in the beginning, these sex forms. Because that style of dancing particularly comes from that particular part of the world and Central and South America, where the sex forms was rampant. Just like when I look at the city of Baltimore, and you will find a lot of ancestral crimes that have taken place in the city of Baltimore, because the city of Baltimore itself was a sex farm. So during enslavement. So, you know, a lot of things come into play, and unless you have a full historical context of what it is that you're seeing, you can make a lot of errors in life, a lot of mistakes in life, a lot of rash decisions that could have been avoided if you had only understood the historical context of who you are as a person in this country. So family, you know, I want us to remember who we are, why we are, all that we are. We cannot sit with feel-good history all the time, because that can be problematic. Like we're waiting or asking, if you will, for the diaspora's support in our fight for reparations, but their ancestry tells them not to. Because why? We're the slaves. We were the ones who was taken. We have no worth. So put that in context too when you ask why. Why aren't they in support of it? Why is it that, you know, like I said, many countries in Africa offer us a year of return or to come back home? How come the majority of people in the diaspora, in particular here in the United States, flock to Ghana? There is a reason why things happen, but you got to have that historical compass within you to understand that. So, you know, we come to the end of our program, and I want to give the brothers and sisters here some time to talk to you and get out their last thoughts and comments. But before they do that, one book that I think you should read that I left off the list, and I was trying to remember it as I was reading it, but The Door of No Return, The History of Cape Coast Castle and the Atlantic Slave Trade by William Sinclair. Check that out. You know, I got a whole lit of them. They over there on the floor. That's why I put my books at sometimes on the floor, because I'll be researching. Don't make fun of me. It's my mess. It's an organized mess. I know what I'm doing. But Sister Marcia, excuse me, Brother Black, your final thoughts and commentary.
Excuse me if I take a few minutes. I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible because so much has happened in the last 2 weeks. I know we see a lot of the moves. I'm surprised we didn't get to any of them yet. We got white folks that we can finally tell to go back to Africa in this country now. A big topic. Y'all laughing. Yeah, we got that's a Jedi mind trick move that I'm not even going to try to qualify to say I know what it is, because He kicking all these diasporan Americans out, white Africans that we could say are truly African Americans now. So this is some funny stuff going on here. So that's a big one. Of course, we know that he cut prescription prices a few days ago. That's a big thing. I believe, like I've been telling y'all for maybe at least a year and a half now, I believe all the moves he's making is as a result of having a mandate by the Galactic Federation to return this earth to the righteous owners of it and inheritors, which look like all of us here on these screens. So that's a big thing right there going on. There's so much going on behind the scenes. There's no way I could cover it all in the few minutes that we have left. Another thing that I need to talk about in regards to the music industry that doesn't regard anybody from New York directly is the thing that happened with Tory Lanez a few days ago and the alleged rumor that Meg Thee Stallion is behind it because it happened the day after new evidence was found for a retrial in his favor. So that's going to be a big thing in the next few weeks and months. I hope he gets out because it's always been proven that he really didn't shoot her. There was a bodyguard for one of the women. I don't know what her focus is, but I believe she works for the record label, for Meg Thee Stallion's record label. For that person was in the car with them. He's a bodyguard and said he overheard a conversation that they had saying that she was the one that shot Meg, and they made it so that Tory took the fall for it because Tory was signed, I believe, to Def Jam, if I'm not mistaken, and Tad, Tad may know more about it than me, and went independent and got his bag up. And so the industry was against him because, maybe they were supposed to collabo and do things together, and now he cut all the middle people out and just got his own bag up. So, and then they could have been put to work in order to get that bag up. Another industry situation that's come out as a result of the Diddy trial is Lauren London setting up Nipsey Hussle. So there's a lot of things going on in the entertainment industry. And in going with Diddy, we have to understand Diddy didn't create this system. This has been going on for at least 50, 60 years. Clive Davis. Alleged. Okay, alleged. Clive Davis, Berry Gordy, Elvis Presley, going back to the 50s, and, Tavistock Institute and all the things that, how the system is a system created to control everybody. Angie Stone, name the names. I mean, we can just go on and on and on with them. Oh, say again, Brother Tad?
Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, everybody. Thank you, brother. So this is nothing new. We live in a day of instant information where you can just go in your pocket and grab your phone and see the latest headline. So there's nothing new about this. It's Kabbalistic Talmudism is what they call it. And it emanates from those that they call who emanate from the synagogue of Satan. So with that said, my book is in my background picture. I know I'm fading in and out, but that's my book. The name of it is Boom Bye Bye, Hip Hop Will Never Die. Expose the entertainment industry. If you can see it behind my dreadlock head over here, it says it's an expose of the entertainment industry with a focus on hip hop. I believe Sister Keisha's read it, and the other two on this panel have probably seen it before. If they haven't read it in its actuality, I suggest you get it because I exposed people over 15 years ago, and now we see it all culminating in your face. So with that said, love and peace. Keep your head on the swivel and just watch everything around you and be judgmental about it and just continue living your life in a righteous way. We'll be back on the bridge next week. Peace and love. Sister Marcia, I give it to you. Peace.
Well, family, it was another day of education about who we are and where we come from. Yes, we have sold each other. We have done so many things to each other. And, one of my favorite movies is Woman's King, because in Woman's King, it actually depicts, and I want to say this is like Queen of Sansiwa, right? Where she's like, oh, if you're not going to reclaim our people, I will. So when I watched that movie, that was one of the things that I thought of, reclaiming our people. And the thing is that we have to think about what we're understanding today goes beyond the Berlin Conference, right? We know the borders that have been established today. These are the countries that we are talking about today. But before these borders, our people were warring and capturing each other without the borders. So now we're placing border lines around people, and I don't think that's the best way to look at our story, but it is the way that we can look at our story. But also remember that the Berlin Conference of 1885, 89,
1884.
1884. Thank you, brother and sister. Um, Divided us. And it's the same thing with the US. Like, there were indigenous groups here in the US that have been divided by the state borders that they claim. And we have to understand that at some capacity, that our people are from different origins. Brother Black wants to say serious something. I don't think we're claiming Nanu Nanu, but we are saying that we understand that we are beyond the borders that they have placed us in. We understand that there were wash markets where they put us all in and scrambled us up. And so we can be talking to our cousin right now, and we're not understanding that, because way back when we were washed amongst each other so that we can be confused. Know that this is the time for no more confusion. Or if there was any confusion, we remove that from our story. We need to break the cycle, because as we see the story, the history repeats itself by human engineering, we as humans can break that engineering and be the great righteous people that we're supposed to be. With all that said, it's time to claim our day. Malcolm X is coming up. This is my pilgrimage. I love this. I love this because, as I'm from Brooklyn, I may not have the same Brooklyn experience, but as a Catholic,
No Brooklyn.
as a Catholic, we did pilgrimages. And in the pilgrimages, I really connected with self, right? And when the opportunity of me learning about the Malcolm X pilgrimage, maybe 10 years ago, while I was in corporate America, and they were telling me, oh, you can't take you can't take the day off. Like, some people was like, take the day off, and some people would like not take the day off and stuff like that. And then I was like, you know what? I got to claim my day. This is my day. This is my day. I'm going to pilgrim, and I'm going to commune with my people over my ancestor, right? This man died in front of his wife and children. I must give gratitude because he believed in something. He felt it. He felt it in his gut that something was going to happen. And he still said, I'm going to keep going on. This is the good works. So in that vein, May 19th, claim your day. Malcolm X pilgrimage. If you're in New York, come out. If you're not in New York, take the day. Don't wait until they give you the day. Don't wait for them to say, oh, you got Juneteenth and now you can celebrate. No, celebrate now. Celebrate for the
the times that people took out and died for us. It is about the dying for us to thrive. And if you believe in them dying to thrive, even if they were lynched, even if they were, you know, sat on top and said, I can't breathe. If you believe in those things, take that time and pilgrim, pray, be with yourself, and understand. So claim your day. That's all I have to say. And Sister Keisha, keep hitting us hard with the knowledge. I appreciate you so very much. Brother Tad, off to you.
All right, family. We come to the end of another dope program. Sister Keisha, I echo Sister Marcia's sentiments. Thank you so much for bringing these thought-provoking topics to the forefront, challenging what we believe to know to be the truth with right knowledge and hard evidence. I often tell our people, stop regurgitating propaganda. Stop saying things just because it sound good and we want the feel good history. Let's deal with what it is so we can move forward accordingly. Brother Blacksmith brought up Tory Lanez. I thought that was very important because I felt that Tory Lanez was innocent from the inception. When everybody took to Twitter that he did it, all the Megan Stallion supporters, all our close friends, but then they slowly started deleting those posts and just kept quiet about it. And we're not even going to talk about the witnesses that was there. But as all of these things unfold, all of these things are being revealed. I want us as a community, or at least as a platform with a sophisticated audience, to start critically thinking about the things that are presented to us. Who are saying these things? Why are they saying it? What do they gain by saying these things? Some people don't want to give us the truth. They want to give us emotions and pass it off as truth. Again, I don't know Puffy. You don't know Puffy. We may know some people loosely associated with Puffy, but we don't know. We weren't there. So we can't say these things happened definitively. At least the allegations and the crimes, because this is what's always goes on. This is why we run around like a chicken with our head cut off or a dog chasing our tail. Let's open our minds. Let's challenge what we believe to be true and entertain some of the things that we don't agree with. Maybe we find a nugget of truth within that. But hopefully you were inspired by some things you heard here tonight. And it's your turn to go out and inspire others. Catch me and my brother Gutter. Gotta get well soon, bro. Catch us every Sunday, 2 p.m. on the OG Wisdom Podcast on YouTube. I'm working on some other things too that I'll reveal shortly. But I want y'all to stay up, stay blessed, stay true. And remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, there's always better days ahead. Sister Keisha.
Love it, love it, love it. You know, I get humble when people thank me for stuff like that. I don't know why. I just feel a certain way. Because I don't know. I just think it's what I'm called to do, period. So I just do it. But I wanted to show what the price of Del Jones Coat of Bandits is going for on Amazon.
Woo! Glad I got mine.
What that say?
$598.26, if I'm not mistaken. $6.50.
You know, like you said, I'm glad I got mine.
Tell them why it's so much now.
It's a lot of information that is in there that if you all had it, your vision is clear. That's what I'm saying. The vision is clear. Everything you see in the entertainment, everybody who's trying to steal a culture and all of that, you know, he had it in that book. And so, you know, hopefully you can reach out to DTLR Books, Brother Quasi, and he may have a few copies. Just tell him we sent you over there, all right? But before I go, you know, I want to have us begin to remember who Gleason Jackson and Melvin Charles is. Gleason Jackson, Melvin Charles, Newark, 1967. The same way you know about the red, black, and green flag, it's very important that you understand about the red, black, and gold and why it was created. And we'll play this and we'll see y'all next week.
A Negro at that time we were called. I remember every year we would march down. And guess what? All we had was the American flag. And I went home to my mother and I remember asking her, and I think I couldn't have been no more than 5 or 6 at that point. I said, Mommy, why don't we have a flag?
They wanted something that would represent the unique heritage of Black Americans, acknowledge their contributions to the United States, and something that will be a symbol for cultural pride. And eventually, they decided on a flag.
Every piece of the flag, from the fig leaves to the blunted sword and the colors chosen, had a specific meaning. In 1967, once the flag was officially designed, Charles and his partner Gleason took the flag to City Hall, where after facing opposition, it was supported by the mayor and officially hoisted in Newark, New Jersey.
On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight. Thorough black talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From brother Tad to sister K, warriors got things to say. Sister Marcy brings the heat, brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Thursday nights the world will see Black Power media on a spree. Facebook, YouTube all aligned, breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves.